Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Ipshita Bansal from Bhagat Phul Singh Women's University, Sonipat. Today we are going to discuss the module Types of Communication of the paper Business Communication. So after completing this modules, you will be able to understand the various types of business communication, that is first verbal and non-verbal communication, internal and external communication, and lastly formal and informal communication. So firstly, we should start with a brief overview of what are the types of business communication. Business communication can be internal as well as external. Internal communication is that which is within the organization, like memos, notices, policy statements, office orders, etc. External communication is that which is with the parties outside the organization, like advertisements, sales presentations, business letters, annual reports, etc. Then the next basis of division of business communication is formal and informal. Formal communication is like official correspondence, notices, CEO's address to the employees, etc. And informal communication is casual discussions or conversation between colleagues or grapevine. Grapevine, that is word of mouth dissemination of information across the organization, which may or may not be true. But broadly, all the above stated types of communication fall in either of the two categories of first verbal communication and second non-verbal communication. In this picture, we can see the examples of verbal as well as non-verbal communication. A lady reading a text is an example of verbal written form of communication. A person talking on the telephone is the example of verbal oral communication. A child waving is an example of non-verbal communication whereby he is using just the symbol of his hand. Also, in the car, honking of the horn is an example of non-verbal communication where the individual is showing his anger by honking of the horn. Then in the picture whereby a person is standing holding a placard, this is also an example of verbal written communication. Another example is two people talking together, which is an example of verbal oral communication, which is face-to-face communication. And laptop, as is shown in the picture, can be used for oral communication when we are using technology of Skype, when we talk to people through pictures, through videos, and it can also be used as a medium of written communication when we send the emails and messages. So we can say that business communication is basically of two types, non-verbal communication and verbal communication. Verbal communication is again divided into two major parts, that is signs and symbols and body language. And verbal communication is divided again into two major parts, oral communication and written communication. So now we'll discuss non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is dissemination of messages through a medium other than speech or writing. The use of the non-verbal communication is prevalent from the ancient times. Our ancestors used the various symbols and signs which constituted the non-verbal communication. Let me give you a certain example. Our ancestors gritted their teeth to show anger. They smiled and touched one another to show love, affection, and sympathy. Non-verbal communication is the most basic form of communication in which the person transits the idea without the use of words, or sometimes non-verbal communication can start even before the use of words also. It helps in effectiveness of the communication. In our day-to-day life, we are using non-verbal communication all the time, whether knowingly or unknowingly. We use the non-verbal communication to show our likes, dislikes, love, affection, dependence, superiority, and other feelings. For example, the way we position ourselves, hold our hands, tilt our head, etc., depict our feelings and attitude and strengthen our communication. Let's understand the types of non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is majorly divided into two parts, signs and symbols and body language. Signs and symbols can be of the following types but are not limited to the following. For example, traffic lights, sirens and whistles, road pictographs, telephone ring, hand indications, meaning of colors, etc. Body language can be divided into kinesics, oculesics, haptics, proxemics, chronemics, paralinguistics, and physical appearance. The types of non-verbal communication are two basically, signs and symbols and body language. So let's first consider signs and symbols. First type of signs and symbols are traffic lights. Red, green and yellow lights denote stop, go and slow down respectively, which is very clear to all the vehicle drivers, enabling the traffic to go smoothly. Second type is sirens and whistles. Different types of sirens and whistles have meaning attached to them, which enables the listeners to understand what they have to do once they hear a particular siren or whistle. For example, siren of an ambulance denotes that way has to be given to the vehicle so that it can reach the hospital with speed, so that life of the patient can be saved. Employees in a building are made aware that a particular siren denotes that there is fire hazard and they have to immediately vacate the building. Third type of signs and symbols can be road pictographs, which is again very important form of non-verbal communication. Road pictographs gives an indication to the traveler what to expect ahead and what he can or cannot do in an area. Telephone ring is another sign and symbol. Long ringing bell of the telephone on the receiver's side indicate disinterest, whereas if the phone is picked up immediately, this indicates the receiver is interested in what the sender wants to say. Hence, the companies train their customer care employees to receive the calls immediately, as this shows the company's commitment to serve their customers well. Another very important form of signs and symbol is the meaning which are attached to the colors. Colors used at different occasion or by different people carry meaning. For example, red color denote danger, white denote peace and purity, green denotes environmental friendliness, etc. Hand indications are another form of non-verbal communication, falling in the category of sign and symbols. In many fields like traffic control, army tactics, sports construction, excavation, dance, music, etc., hand signals or movements have specific meaning, which are enough to convey the message without speaking. Now, let's take the second type of non-verbal communication, that is body language. There are various components of body language. First one is kinesics. It is the study of facial expressions, postures and gestures. Second is oculesics. It is the study of the role of eye contact in non-verbal communication. Third is haptics. It is the study of touching. Acceptable level of touching vary across cultures. Like for example, in Western culture, a touch which might be acceptable to a person may not be acceptable in another culture. In Middle Eastern cultures, men generally meet and hug each other as a way of greeting, but in Western culture, only handshaking is permissible. Fourth type of body language is chronemics. It is the study of use of time in non-verbal communication. Keeping someone waiting for long may give a hint to that person that he is not welcome or respected. Next is paralinguistics. It is the study of variations in pitch, speed, volume, and pauses to convey meaning. Interestingly, when the speaker is making a presentation and is looking for a response, he will pause. However, when no response is desired, he will talk faster with minimal pause. Physical appearance is also a very important part of body language. One's physical appearance always contributes towards how people perceive you. Neatly combed hair, ironed clothes, and a lively smile will always carry more weight than words. So, let's see what are the functions of non-verbal communication. According to Bovey and Till, non-verbal communication performs the following functions. First is provide information. Non-verbal communication helps to send or receive information when the sender does not want to speak or write, or it is not possible to do so due to limiting circumstances. For example, if the teacher in the classroom puts finger on the lips, it means he or she is instructing the students to sit silently in the classroom. There are many more examples of this kind, like raising finger towards someone, meaning pointing that individual. Second function of non-verbal communication is effective flow of communication. Non-verbal communication helps to regulate the flow of communication. For example, if the receiver of the message does not show any facial expressions or body movement, the sender will understand either he is not listening, or if listening, then he is not interested. And if he is listening and interested, then surely he is not understanding. So, non-verbal communication helps to regulate the flow of the communication. Another function of non-verbal communication is expressing emotion. Non-verbal communication helps to express the emotions and feelings of the human beings. We use the non-verbal cues to express love, affection, superiority, dependence, liking, disliking, respect, and many other feelings. Another very important function of non-verbal communication is that it complements and expands verbal messages. Non-verbal cues complements and the verbal communication and attaches more meaning and clarity to it. Through the non-verbal cues of facial expressions and body language, one can deliver one's message very effectively. Non-verbal cues also help to provide the feedback to receiver. For example, nodding of head or raising of thumb help the sender to understand that the receiver likes his idea. Another function of non-verbal communication is control and influencing others. Through non-verbal communication, one can make one's message effective, and it helps the sender to impress and influence the audience too. So let's understand the advantages of non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication provides us the following benefits, due to which it is very important to learn non-verbal cues. First, reliability. Non-verbal cues are taken as the most reliable source for believing that the message delivered by the sender is real and actual, as the words can easily be controlled by the person, but the controlling the facial expressions and body language is quite hard. So by giving attention to the non-verbal cues, we can have a better understanding of the message and even protect ourselves from cheating or deceit. Second advantage, efficiency. Non-verbal communication is important for both the parties involved in the process of communication. Non-verbal communication is efficient from both the sender's as well as receiver's point of view, as through the non-verbal communication only, more meaning is conveyed in lesser time and through lesser words. Another advantage is credibility. Non-verbal cues play a very important role in establishing the credibility of the speaker. The speaker in such cases may be a leader, a teacher, a sales executive, a CEO, a priest, or just anyone performing any life role. Through learning how to control the facial expressions, body language, voice, and appearance, one can manage one's credibility. Another advantage of non-verbal communication is accurate understanding. As we discussed earlier, that the non-verbal cues are the source of reliability and can help one to understand the real personality and attitude of the other party. After learning how to interpret their underlying meaning and intentions of the verbal message, the individual can gauge the accuracy of the communication. As is the nature of non-verbal communication, it has certain limitations also attached with the benefits. These are the following limitations of non-verbal communication. First one is lack of secrecy, because everybody can see it, hear it. Second one is not suitable for lengthy messages. If one has to speak at length about a certain thing, then non-verbal communication becomes a problem, and it becomes a problem for the receiver also to understand the message. So it is not suitable for lengthy messages. Non-verbal communication can be misunderstood also, because people assign different meanings to signs and symbols, or perhaps to body language also. Then another limitation or disadvantage is it can be used only during face-to-face communication. Also, non-verbal communication lacks the advantage of written proof or evidence. Also, it is very difficult to study also by the people who do not understand the non-verbal cues. Now let's come to verbal communication and try to understand what verbal communication is. Verbal communication is the communication which is conveyed through words. Verbal communication is of two types, oral and written. Now we will see the first form of verbal communication, that is oral communication. Oral communication is that communication in which the parties involved in the communication transmit the message through spoken form. In the general sense, oral implies anything related to mouth. In the oral communication, the sender as well as the receiver both exchange their ideas via speech through any of the channels used for communication, such as face-to-face communication, conference, seminar, telephone talk, video conferencing, etc. There are mainly two components of oral communication. First, words which are used while communicating, and secondly, and very important, manner in which the message is delivered or manner in which the words are used. For example, there can be a lot of difference between the presentation given by an experienced professional and a young intern. Professionals use their skills such as tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language to their advantage, which impresses and influences the audience, and in turn may not be able to show much sophistication of this type in oral communication. So here is the pictorial representation of components of oral communication. Oral communication constitutes of words and the manner in which the words are spoken, as we can see from the picture. There are two levels of oral communication, first and second. The first level of communication is face-to-face communication. This is the popular form of communication which is used. The reason behind the popularity of this channel is the benefit associated with this channel. First benefit is one can provide and receive the immediate feedback. Second benefit is one can see the facial expressions and the body language, gestures of the other person. Third benefit is one can judge the reality of the message by analyzing the content of the message and take immediate action. Second level. The second level of the communication is the oral communication via the technology. In this level of communication, the sender and the user both use the technological resources. The sender and receiver use the channel of communication such as computer, telephone, public address system, etc. This channel is also popular as the physical existence of the sender and the receiver is not required at a single place to transmit message. More suitable for the time the sender and the receiver are at different and distant places, this communication channel becomes very important. Yet the second level of oral communication is not as much impactful as the first level of oral communication because of lack of proximity and the absence of all the elements of non-verbal communication like body language, facial expressions, gestures, immediate feedback, etc. Now we'll discuss the forms of oral communication. First form of oral communication is face-to-face conversation. Face-to-face conversation is that communication in which both the sender and the receiver are present at a single place and transmit the message. Face-to-face conversation is very effective as it provides the immediate feedback. Second form of oral communication is lecture. It is a kind of oral communication. There is a single sender and many receivers of the message. Classroom lectures are the best example of this kind of communication. Immediate feedback from each audience may not be possible in this case. Third form of oral communication are meeting and conferences. Board meeting, special meeting, annual general meeting are the examples of this form of communication. In this form of communication, one is the speaker and the others are the listeners. All the members present in the meeting or conference participate in the meeting one by one as speakers, while rest of the members listen. Fourth form of oral communication is interview. Interview is a special kind of oral communication in which the parties involved in the process of communication hold the relationship of the interviewer and the interviewee. In this form of communication, interviewer asks the questions and interviewee gives reply to the questions. The purpose of interviews is generally selection for a position or ascertaining the appropriateness of an individual to carry an assignment or assume a role in the organization. Fourth form of oral communication is telephonic talk. Everyone is familiar with this kind of communication. In our day-to-day life, we are using this form of communication. Telephone conversation can be defined as the use of speech for formal as well as informal exchange of views or ideas or information over the phone. The effectiveness of communication here is limited due to the inability to view the body language, gestures, and facial expressions of the sender. Only words and the tone of voice has to be relied upon in understanding the message fully. The next form is grapevine. It is very interesting form of communication. It is the informal form of communication which is defined as the supplementary channel of communication. It is a means of passing information unofficially. It is a very fast medium of communication. The next form of oral communication is seminar. Seminar is the form of discussion in which the results of some research or viewpoint or viewpoints are presented by the means of speech to select audience with the purpose to provide information, enhance knowledge, or share a point of view. Furthermore, a seminar may be considered as a form of academic instruction either at an academic institution or offered by a commercial or professional organization. Radio is another very popular and accessible means of oral communication. Because of its wider reach, it can be effectively used as a medium to convey one's ideas, share information, advertise products and services. Television is the most popular form of oral communication. This form of communication offers very creative way of exchange of ideas and information. Since, besides listening to the words, the receiver of the message can also view the images and visuals, it becomes very powerful medium of oral communication. Television is being used extensively by the business houses for promotion of their goods and services as well as managing their goodwill. So let's now understand the utility of oral communication. Oral communication provides the following utilities. First, confidentiality. When the information is to be kept confidential, then oral communication serves this purpose. The information is kept secret between the parties involved in the communication. As both the parties are interacting directly, no intermediary is involved in this form of communication. Second utility is when the written form is not possible. When the circumstances are such that written communication is not suitable or possible, the best way of passing and exchanging the information is oral communication, as it is speedy and in most of the circumstances provide immediate feedback. Third utility of oral communication is when the audience is large. When the audience is large and the message has to be circulated quickly and immediate feedback is required, then oral communication is a very suitable option. Fourth utility of oral communication is when the receiver is illiterate. Oral communication is most suitable when the audience is not able to read and write. In the oral communication, the speaker can change the words and the language as per the understanding of the receiver or the audience. So, what are the advantages of oral communication then? Let's have a review. First, rapid transmission of ideas. Oral communication provides the rapid exchange of information, no matter how far speaker, sender or listener, receiver is. Second, quick feedback. Oral communication provides the quick feedback as both the parties involved in the communication are in direct contact with each other. It also helps the speaker sender in measuring the level understanding of listener receiver through the facial expressions, body language, gestures, feelings of receiver. Next, flexible. Oral communication has the feature of flexibility. It offers the flexibility in expressing the idea and using the power of words and the language according to the understanding level of the receiver. Next is oral communication is economical source of message transmission as the sender and the receiver are exchanging information orally. Next advantage is personal touch. Oral communication provides personal touch to the communication, which is likely to help in building mutual trust and confidence between both the parties, resulting in the better flow of information and ideas. Another advantage of oral communication is that it minimizes misunderstanding, as it provides the chance to both the sender and the receiver to remove misunderstanding, as there is no intermediary between the sender and the receiver. Lastly, oral communication is motivating. It is very useful for managers in motivating their employees. Through oral communication, seniors, when interact with their people with respect to decisions to be taken, listening to their grievances, appreciating them, employees feel integral part of the organization, which acts as the source of motivation for them. Oral communication does not only have advantages, but some disadvantages or limitations as well. Some of the limitations or disadvantages of oral communication are: oral communication is not suitable for lengthy messages. It is more useful and suitable for short messages because it is not possible for the receiver to remember the lengthy messages. It is not suitable for policy matters. Oral communication is not suitable for important matters like policies, rules, technical information, because this information is required to be preserved as record and complied with. Oral communication also does not provide the benefit of evidence. There is lack of evidence in the written form during the oral communication, which can be referred to later. Hence, such messages are not suitable with respect to communication of rules and regulations, contracts, etc. In oral communication, there is also lack of clarity. Whenever the sender or receiver is in hurry, then it will lead to misunderstanding. The lack of clarity can be due to many reasons in the oral communication, such as noise coming from outside, voice not audible, mic clarity, noise in the telephone network, etc. Oral communication may also lead to wastage of time. Sometimes the speaker and the listener, especially in meetings, may distract from the agenda of the meeting and undergo lengthy conversations which lead to the wastage of the members' time. Another very great disadvantage of oral communication is presence of both the parties is necessary in majority of the cases. In oral communication, presence of both the parties is necessary, otherwise the process of communication cannot be completed. For example, Mr. Dikshit phoned Mr. Verma for informing him about the change in the date and venue of the meeting. But Mr. Verma was busy at that time and could not attend the call. Since message could not be transmitted, process of communication remained incomplete. Now we come to the next form of communication, that is written communication. Written communication is considered the second basic form of communication. The exchange of facts, information, ideas in written form is known as written communication. The written communication is considered as formal communication. With the passage of time, the technology has become advanced, which has broadened the scope of written communication. Business communication done via written form can be preserved as record and presented as proof anywhere, such as profit statements presented before the government, shareholders, and other interested parties. So now let's understand the forms of written communication. First form of written communication is email. Email is the message transmitted by the electronic means from one computer user to one or more recipients via a network. Email is defined as electronic mail. In modern times, email has taken the place of postal letters. The advantage of emails over postal mails is that at one click of the key, the message gets transferred to single or multiple recipients in seconds, and reply can be received immediately, saving precious time and expediting the work manifold. Second form is fax. Fax is the medium by which the exact copy of a document is made by electronic scanning and transmitted as data via telecommunication link. A fax machine is used to transmit the document. It is an input device connected to a telephone which transmits the scanned and printed document to a telephone number associated with the printer or other output device. Next form of written communication is business letters. Business letter is usually a document which is written by one company to another company or by the company to its clients, customers, or other external parties. Business letter may be of different kinds according to its content. For example, a business letter can be a request to other party to supply a specific material or a reply to request, etc. Another form of written communication is a memo or a memorandum. It is a written informal brief note, record, reminder, or summary used as means of communication or to outline the terms of an agreement. Circulars and notices are other form of written communications. A circular is a kind of written announcement that is distributed to large number of people to convey any commercial or non-commercial message at the minimum time, costs, and efforts. In the words of Professor W.J. Weston, a circular letter is one which is meant to be read by a number of correspondents. It is of the nature of an advertisement and is usually a business announcement or an attempt to advance business. So, what is the utility of written communication? There are many utilities of written communication. Let's take them one by one. First is message is of permanent nature. When the message is of permanent nature and has to be kept for a long time, then written communication is suitable. Written communication is accepted as record and evidence such as policies, rules, guidelines, technical information, etc. Second utility, when receivers are at different places. When the receivers of the message are located at different and distant places, then via written communication, the same message can be transmitted to all receivers without any distortion. Third utility is when the message is long. When the message is lengthy and not possible for the sender to explain it orally, and also it is hard for the receiver to remember, then written communication becomes important. For example, a company's article of association or its memorandum of understanding or policy booklet. Next utility of written communication is when message contains graphics. When the message requires pictures, images, figures, then written communication becomes important. Let's now discuss the advantages of written communication. First advantage is written communication messages are suitable for lengthy messages. Written communication plays important role in clearly communicated and ensuring clear understanding of the lengthy messages. Second advantage is availability of written proof or evidence. Written communication provides the feature of record keeping, as some documents are kept for future references and can also be provided as evidence. Next advantage of written communication is clear message. When the message is long, then written communication helps in clear understanding of the message. Written communication also helps in better understanding of the message by the use of graphics like images, graphs, figures, symbols, signs, etc. Next advantage is it is less expensive and time saving method. Written communication proves to be less costly when the receivers are located at distant places. Via the use of email, we can send the message globally in the minimum possible time with minimum possible expenses. Presence of both the parties is also not necessary in written communication. That is another advantage of written communication. The message will be delivered to the receiver whenever he is available. As in the previous example of Mr. Dikshit and Mr. Verma, if the Mr. Dikshit had given the message to Mr. Verma in writing via fax, notification or email, then the message would have been delivered to Mr. Verma later whenever he checked this fax machine or email. Another advantage of written communication is accurate and effectiveness. As we know, written communication serves as the proof for future references. So, the sender must double check the content of the message, which results into the more accurate and effective messages to be sent. So, written communication also does not only have advantages but certain limitations also. It is unfit for an educated person. Whenever audience is illiterate, then written communication is not suitable as they are not able to read and write. It lacks secrecy. As the message is in the written form, if the message delivered in the wrong hands, then the message loses its confidentiality and can result into a big loss to sender as well as to intended receiver. Written communication also leads to wastage of times in many instances. The drafting of the message in the written form takes a lot of time. Whenever it becomes a compulsion, like mostly in government systems, to send each and every message in the written form, then it leads to wastage of time and resources because every message is not so important that it is required to be preserved. Another limitation is delayed feedback. As in the oral communication, after knowing the reaction of the receiver, the sender can easily alter the message or the way of presenting the message. In written communication, this facility is not available because when the written message is sent, it takes time to reach the receiver and then the feedback received also takes time. So, feedback is delayed. So, let's review quickly in brief the difference between oral and written communication. When the basis is feedback, oral communication, the feedback is immediate, and in written communication, feedback is delayed. In oral communication, sentences and words are shorter or have to be shorter. In written communication, sentences and words can be longer. In oral communication, the form of communication is conversational. In written communication, the form of conversation or message is more formal. In oral communication, the focus is on personal relation. In written communication, the focus is more on the content. In oral communication, the action or the feedback is prompt, and in written communication, the action is delayed. In oral communication, the technical information can be given in less detail, while in written communication, the technical information can be given in more detail. Oral communication is suitable when the messages are short, and written communication is suitable when the messages are short as well as long. In oral communication, there is lack of written proof and evidence. In written communication, proof and evidence can be preserved as record. In oral communication, review in many times is not possible, but in written communication, review is always possible. Now let us review briefly what we learned in this module. Firstly, to ensure effective communication, it is necessary to understand the types of communication. Communication can be internal with the employees of the company or external with the outside stakeholders of the company. Communication can be formal or communication can be informal. But communication is broadly divided into two types, that is verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Verbal communication is written or oral, and non-verbal communication consists of body language and the use of signs and symbols.